Thank God for technology. Thank God for, Shockley and the development of the microchip, and then, Fairchild and Intel and everything that came after it, because what that has done is it's created the internet, and the internet is the biggest, most powerful decentralizing force in the universe. And so this decentralization, in my view, is going to make your life and your son's life just a whole lot better, because and it's long overdue, because these big centralized organizations are so corrupt and have just gotten so broken and just don't work for us. I mean, I'm writing about this in my book. I mean, Janet Yellen getting $7 million in speaking fees. I mean, come on, that's just a fucking bribe. About what's going to cause the dollar to fail, it's going to be the realization. I mean, this goes back to Gresham's law, right? I mean, once people realize that, once the Bitcoin price crosses 100, 200, 300, 500,000, people are going to realize, holy shit, this is continuing to be the best performing asset in the world. How can I not hold this? I mean, I think it's good strategically for the country, but I think everything that supports Bitcoin and makes the Bitcoin dollar, I mean, look, sadly, I don't think Loomis's bill is going to get any traction. I mean, I think it's a great move on her part. I'm glad she did it. I mean, it's, just like I'm glad Trump embraces Bitcoin, not even understanding it. It's all good. But, in terms of actually having something happen as a result of that, I think the odds are quite low. If it did happen and they became, they got on the bid for it and started buying it, it's going to push the price much higher. And you want to talk about what's going to cause the dollar to fail. It's going to be the realization. I mean, this goes back to Gresham's law, right? I mean, once people realize that, once the Bitcoin price crosses 100, 200, 300, 500,000, people are going to realize, holy shit, this is continuing to be the best performing asset in the world. How can I not hold this? And more people are going to buy it.
Larry Lepard provides an in-depth analysis of the flaws within the current financial system, emphasizing how unchecked government spending has significantly contributed to the debasement of the US dollar. He highlights the alarming rate at which the Federal Reserve has resorted to incessant money printing to manage rising debt levels, leading to inflation and the erosion of wealth for the average American. Lepard points to key moments in US history, such as the wars in the Middle East, the Vietnam War, and World War II, where massive government expenditure not only strained the economy, but also resulted in the loss of millions of lives. These military programs have had far-reaching consequences on government spending and the financial stability of the nation. He underscores that inflation and currency debasement are serious issues for everyday Americans, as they struggle to afford homes and watch their savings lose value over time. Lepard argues that Bitcoin offers a solution to these systemic problems by providing a sound monetary alternative that could help repair the defective global financial system. For those interested in exploring this further, the Bitcoin white paper offers a foundational understanding of how decentralized currency can counteract the flaws of traditional fiat systems. As we bring you more clips from the interview, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel to help us reach more viewers. Don't forget to turn on post notifications to stay updated with our latest content. Share your thoughts and observations in the comment section below. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
That's just a problem until eventually everyone goes, it's kind of like, and it's going to be slower than this example, but it's kind of like the example of Silicon Valley Bank. I mean, the word spread, or like a fire in a theater, the word spread, and as the word spreads and spreads and spreads, and more people realize, holy shit, this bank is bankrupt. Then one day, $100 billion of deposits. They had $49 billion of deposits withdrawn in one day. And one day later, the bank was bankrupt. And so that goes to, Parker Lewis's, gradually then suddenly, right? I mean, and so, there will come, in my opinion, I mean, and you've even had some people, like I said, you've even had some people kind of alluding to this. I mean, you got the Fed chairman saying this is not sustainable. Okay, well, I mean, I guess, another model of this is the emperor's got no clothes on. The U.S. is bankrupt, and we're spending way too much money. We've got an uncontrollable financial and fiscal situation. So the question really is, who's going to be the little boy that says, hey, this guy's naked? And then everyone goes, oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, another perfect example of this exact same phenomenon was many of us were saying, Biden is senile. I mean, the guy has totally fucking lost it, right? I mean, we've known this for a year or two, and they gaslit us and said, oh, no, he's great. Everything's fine. And then finally, one day they put him up on a stage in a debate, and guess what? We all know he's senile, and therefore he's no longer running for president. And that's what's going to happen. I mean, maybe not that quickly, maybe not that dramatically, but that's the kind of mental phase shift that's going to happen. And, by being aware of it today, my view is, the whole financial saying was, he who panics first panics best. I mean, if we're going to have a panic, if we know the dollar is going to fail, well, get the fuck out now. Because I'd much rather buy Bitcoin at 70,000, a coin than at 700,000 a coin. I mean, they're both going to protect you. But, I wish I'd been Max. I wish I'd been buying it at $2 a coin, but I wasn't smart enough or aware enough to do that. And that's why I'm not a billionaire. Yeah. He is. But, it's to me, it's just an inevitable trend. And therefore, that's why I do what I do. And I just pound the table to people to try to protect themselves, because I can just, it's pattern recognition. I can just see this pattern. I've seen it in financial things for 40 years. And, this is going to go much, much, much higher. The only thing, in my opinion, Walker, that could change it would be incredible change at the government level. If suddenly the government says, all right, we're going to balance the budget, we're going to means test Social Security, we're going to raise the retirement age, we're going to close all the military bases, we're going to stop sending money overseas, and we're going to completely balance the budget so that we're no longer running a deficit and we don't have to print money, well, okay, then suddenly having sound money isn't going to be as important, and the price of Bitcoin is not going to go up as much, and the price of gold is not going to go up as much, because the dollar won't be being debased as quickly. But, as you were smiling as I said that, because we all know, what are the odds of that happening, right? I mean, they would seem to be pretty low. They seem to go on, they're either low or they're zero. But in both cases, I know which side of the straight I want to be on. Part of what's caused all this debt, and we haven't talked much about this, is just kind of the warfare state, the military industrial complex. We pissed away $6 or $7 trillion in the Middle East, trying to secure oil and just all kinds of other stupid things. And, we've got, veterans I see in the airports with limbs blown off from IEDs. And it's fucking tragic. Not to mention all the foreigners we killed, many of whom were innocent. So, sadly, this is another piece of the centralization. So my view, Walkers, in 46, we hit peak centralization, when, World War II, because of Hitler's misbehavior, we slaughtered 50 million people, 50, 60 million people in World War II. And that was peak centralization. And now, thank God for technology. Thank God for, Shockley and the development of the microchip, and then, Fairchild and Intel and everything that came after it, because what that has done is it's created the internet, and the internet is the biggest, most powerful decentralizing force in the universe, because now guys like you can be equal to Walter Cronkite, what he used to be. We got our news from 3 sources when I was a kid, and it was all the news that the government wanted to let out. And of course, we all now know the government lies about just about everything. And the only way to get the truth is to find it from real truth tellers on the web. And this is why, Rogan and Tucker and a ton of other people have gotten a lot of attention, because, they represent an alternative to what we know are lies. And so this decentralization, in my view, is going to make your life and your son's life just a whole lot better, because it's long overdue, because these big centralized organizations are so corrupt and have just gotten so broken and just don't work for us. I'm writing about this in my book. Janet Yellen getting $7 million in speaking fees. Come on, that's just a fucking bribe.
Insane.
It's just one of many instances. Another one that I just dug up, I'd forgotten about this. You probably don't remember it. I don't know if you were paying attention at the time, but in 2008, when the GFC happened, they created this thing called TALF, which is Troubled Asset Lending Facility. What it allowed people to do was to borrow money from the government.
The Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, was an initiative launched by the U.S. Treasury to stabilize the nation's financial system, restore economic growth, and address foreclosures following the 2008 financial crisis. However, the program became marred by abuse and corruption. A notable example of this misuse is highlighted in Matt Taibbi's article, The Real Housewives of Wall Street, which exposes how wealthy individuals exploited TARP for personal gain, rather than its intended purpose of supporting the broader economy. In The Real Housewives of Wall Street, Matt Taibbi exposes the corruption and excesses of the U.S. financial system, particularly focusing on how wealthy individuals and powerful institutions exploited government bailout programs during the 2008 financial crisis. Taibbi reveals that while ordinary Americans struggled with foreclosures and job losses, a small group of ultra-wealthy individuals received enormous sums of money through the Federal Reserve's bailout initiatives. The article highlights specific examples, such as how wives of Wall Street executives, hedge fund managers, and other insiders received billions of dollars in low-interest loans, which were supposed to stabilize the economy. These funds were often used for personal gain rather than for the intended purpose of supporting businesses or creating jobs. Taibbi criticizes the lack of accountability and transparency in how these funds were distributed, emphasizing that the system was rigged to benefit the rich and powerful at the expense of the average taxpayer. Taibbi also draws attention to the broader implications of these practices, arguing that they contributed to a deepening inequality in the U.S. and undermined public trust in the financial system. The piece serves as a scathing critique of the bailout process, exposing the stark contrast between the treatment of ordinary citizens and the elite during one of the most significant economic crises in modern history. Let's get back to more insights from Larry.
I mean, what our government has done in our name, and I've been around to see it. I mean, here's a perfect example. I mean, everyone talks about how bad World War II was, how many people were killed, all this stuff. You realize that in Vietnam, Walker, we killed 3 million Vietnamese citizens. I mean, and most of them were just fucking rice farmers. I mean, okay, so think about it. Our government, our federal government killed 3 million Vietnamese. Those were lives. Those were actual human lives, right? And I remember very clearly, because I was a teenager. I mean, Nixon was like, he's trying to win the election, and he decided, we're going to carpet bomb North Vietnam with B-52s. I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck? I mean, that was our government doing that. And, why did that happen? Well, the guys making the B-52s and the bombs, they made a lot of money. Right? I mean, and it's just sick.
There you have it. Larry's insights on government spending and overreach, and how they've impacted countless American households. What are your thoughts on Larry's revelations in this video? We hope you found value in the discussion. Please share your comments and observations below. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.